So hi guys.
Hello.
Oh gosh.
Hello, Yoda.
Oh, thank you. So what I really wanted to know was how do the use of the Troubles in Haven compare to more traditional use of superpowers in film and TV?
You want to take that?
How does the use of the Troubles in Haven compare to more traditional use of superpowers in film and TV? I was always taught to repeat the question.
That actually, yeah, no, I didn't do that. That was very good that you did that.
Right, well, I guess the main difference with our Troubles versus superpowers are that our Troubles are often not something that the person who has them is aware of having.
Or wants to have.
Right. So they're sneaking up on them, or happening to them, or they're the victim of them, or at the effect of them. Whereas a traditional superpower is something that you can turn on, like I can press this button under my armpit and then I can do amazing things. I won't do it in front of you because it's embarrassing.
It
would be embarrassing for
totally.
Emily.
His superpower is really embarrassing.
Really embarrassing. Yeah, but that was, that was the sort of main distinction that the writers talked about with us initially. But then there were a couple cases, I suppose, where people were able to employ their trouble.
Once they discovered them, then they used them. The other bad part of them used them to their advantage. Yeah, but I feel like superpowers are more something that you can do, whereas Troubles were it was really cool. It was something unique. It was something that was happening to the person. They couldn't figure out why, as a result of an emotional state.
Right.
Whereas superpowers weren't really that way.
So how have you made how did you make Haven stand out from other shows that are similar to it? So like paranormal, supernatural shows.
Yeah, so I think that was one of the things that made it stand out, was that this was something that people couldn't necessarily control. And even when they were aware of having these issues or troubles, it was still something that was often out of their control. But something that made it stand out, I think, was the setting.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And everything that demanded of the show, just the way it looked, and then the way it required our characters to interact.
Well, it
in this
was,
small town.
Yeah, and it's Stephen King roots. Like, I feel like a lot of superhero shows happen in Metropolis or the cities or these high populated areas, and I feel like Haven and Chester and Nova Scotia is so unique. The Northeast is so unique that was really a cool part about it.
Yeah, it was kind of like 50 years ago. At a time when superheroes and superhero stories were much simpler.
And finally, even though it's ended, do you feel there should be perhaps some sort of continuation in the future?
Always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
the
the
more
cool
we're asked
thing.
about
Like what
this,
you're
the more I realize it's totally possible.
totally doable. Are you kidding me?
We're going
they're
home on
rebooting
Sunday and
Gilmore
we're gonna-
Girls. Not that
Right.
I'm saying we're like Gilmore Girls, but I'm just saying that like the amounts of reboots that are happening,
Sure.
and especially in a supernatural world, the amount that you could do, and especially like exactly with what we were just saying, the setting is so timeless, and it's always been sort of vintage, old school feeling. So it's something that we could come back when we're 80 and do it, I think. I mean, Vince and Dave would, it's awesome. Totally. They would love to have us there too. We would love to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've got Fran and Buzz.
Yeah.
A couple of minutes. Okay. Did you? Hi.
Hi.
Did you ever perceive Nathan's inability to feel touch like it was commentary on toxic masculinity?
Whoa, toxic masculinity.
Did I ever perceive Nathan's
Repeat.
inability to feel touch like it was commentary on toxic masculinity? No. Yes.
Because
Wait.
it could be.
How so?
You understand what toxic masculinity
Not really.
is. This notion of what defines a real man and being tough and not being so sensitive or compassionate or all of those traits that are typically seen as female traits.
Interesting.
No, I did not.
No, I didn't either.
Ever consider this as commentary.
I'll
on
let
that.
you finish answering. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, sure, okay. In some ways, the inability to feel was kind of badass, if I say so myself. But the thing about Nathan that we always talked about from the beginning was that even though he couldn't feel anything, like he felt more than anyone else. Yeah. This was like a totally emotional creature. So so I don't think I ever, no, I didn't really consider the toxic masculinity aspect, because I was always feeling like he was a very, I mean, for lack of a better term, he was a very feminine kind of creature as far as his emotional state.
Well, because you talk about, like, for example, somebody who we talked about a lot, that somebody who that loses one sense, like if they can't smell, all the other senses are so much more like heightened, because they are compensating for that one thing that they can't taste or whatever.
So you're saying Nathan was compensating?
Well, no.
Yes.
I'm just saying that, like, exactly what you're saying. Because you couldn't physically feel, it was almost like you were super hypersensitive to everything else. Like, because you couldn't feel, like, because he could, like, whenever he would be around girls or whatever, it's like,
babies.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like that melted him. Yeah, exactly. Whereas I feel like a toxic masculinity is more somebody that's, like, suppressing that stuff. Yeah.
And then Emily, for playing all these characters, did you approach that like they were completely separate beings, or could that be interpreted as more of like the multifacetedness of a single person, if you had like a common thread running through all of these different characters that you were playing?
For all the characters that I played, did I approach them like separate beings, or was there a common thread throughout all of them? That's a great question.
It's a really good
question. No, I personally treated them like all individual people, because I trusted the fact that I'm stuck in my own Emily body. Like, of course, they're going to all somehow sound a little bit the same and look a little bit the same. That's going to be a little bit of the thread. Like, you won't be able to get away from that. But I remember getting into tussles with producers and other people and being like, I'm not just going to put on a wig and be like just me. Like, I'm creating a different character. I'm an actor. This is a person in a different reality, in a different time, who speaks differently, who hears things differently, who dresses differently. As an actor, you can't be like, I'm just going to put on a costume and just say the lines. Like, no, I am going to be a different person. So I approach them. No, you can't. No.
If we go back and do it again, I'm going to do some things differently.
No, but I definitely approached them very differently. Like, Mara, I approached as in she knew more and played more and was trickier and knew that she had these different times. She knew more of that. But some of these other ones, like Lucy or Sarah, didn't know that as much. So I think I approached each of them in their timeless and for sure. Sorry, I like to talk.
No, it's...
And then one last question. So, with having been on a show with such fantastical characters and storylines, does that make you more hungry to do more genre material in the future, or would you prefer to go back to something more, I guess you could say, realistic?
That's another great question. Having done so many characters, does that make me want to do more genre material in the future? Here's the thing. I feel a little bit spent. I always feel like they freaking took every character I had. Like, I can't do anymore. No, sometimes on my bad days I feel that way. I'm like, I just used like 7 characters in one show and got paid for one. No, but but that being said, or if I get an audition and it's another FBI character, which I auditioned for so many FBI people, I'm like, what is it about me that screams FBI? But no, I think I'm just hungry to do cool characters. To me, it's not necessarily, characters aren't stuck in genre. Is that me? Time to drink water. It's not like stuck in a genre situation. Like, it's not just, a character. Every time I get a script, it's so exciting to read and be like, oh God, how is this character like? What are they like? So to me, I'm just hungry to be an actor and get to tell stories.
Mm-hmm. But we did, in many ways we did, I've just sort of realized doing these interviews and talking about the show more, we were stupidly spoiled in many ways. Rarely do you get the chance to play so many versions of yourself,
Yeah.
or like an alternate reality where I am something
traveling,
completely
or-
other, or time traveling. Yeah, so it was a real gift for an actor in many ways to get to approach the show from all sorts of different angles. That probably will not, is a rare thing. I don't know if we can expect it.
Well, and
happen
for it to
again.
be so gritty. I feel like when I go and work on other projects, everything's so like modern or polished or new, and I'm like, oh wow, I really miss, and God, they were so good. Our production design was so good. I notice that when I go and work on other stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's the end of the press.
Beautiful.
All right, rock and roll.
Thank you
Thanks, guys.
kindly.